Meg Whitman, don't say I was part of your family because you never treated me like I was.
Third time's a charm or a harm, I guess. Meg Whitman's former housekeeper holds a third news conference to explain and complain about her old boss. Why in the world do we need 3 news conferences for this?
Everyone seems excellent. I get nothing but praise. I think the only people who are against me are the people who I'm running against. So I've really only heard positive stuff.
Well, it's not all positive, but lots of response after Irvine's 19-year-old city council candidate appeared on yesterday's show. Some love him, some hate him. We'll let you decide for yourself. Plus,
I made this proclamation. I said, if anyone here mentions politics again or a political consideration for a decision that will be made in this office, you won't be here next week. We do the right things for the right reasons, period.
tough on City Hall, tough on crime. City Attorney Carmen Trujillo just cracked down on criminals in his first year in office. Now he's speaking out against the political machine. Our exclusive interview with the City Attorney. All the stories people are talking about and everything you need to know right now on The Filter. Hello again off the top. It's The Filter Forefront, our top 4 of the day, including, do you ever fake it? But we'll begin with this. The saga of Meg Whitman's housekeeper, Nikki Diaz, won't go away. Why? Because she's back. With Gloria Allred by her side, Diaz needed to set the record straight again.
I make my own decisions. I'm not anyone's puppet. I really thought about it before I decided to speak out. Nobody made me do it. Meg Whitman, don't say I was part of your family because you never treated me like I was.
Diaz didn't take questions, and there are a few unanswered questions. How did Gloria Allred find out about this? How did she get involved? Allred wouldn't say, but she did say she's involved because her firm has represented employees in Employment Matters for more than 3 decades. Our contributors tonight, Megan Barth from ReaganBaby.com and Doctor of Social Ethics Charlotte Laws. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. Charlotte, we'll start with you. Why the need for yet another news conference?
Well, there is no need. I mean, Allred's purpose is political, in my view. It may also be that she wants to just be out there in the public eye and get more attention on herself. But, this is a $6,200 claim. That's what this amounts to. It's like a small claim suit. This is not a lawsuit. And so basically what she's doing is she's jeopardizing her client. It's like for $6,200, she's coming forward and saying, let me prove I need $6,200. I committed felonies, and this is why I need the $6,200. If really it was about money, they would have sent a quiet letter to Meg Whitman and said, this is the money we want, and they probably would have gotten a check. As you know, I support Jerry Brown 100% for governor. But on this Nikki issue, I support Meg Whitman 100%. I don't think she's done anything wrong. And I think Gloria Allred, as I said, now has to answer a lot of questions about how this all came about. And she also said today, essentially, that Nikki is not manipulated by me, that she's intelligent and independent. Well, if she's not manipulated by you and she can't be manipulated by you, then how can she be manipulated by Meg Whitman?
All right.
So all of a sudden these contradictions are coming into place.
Megan, what do you think?
Well, I think there does need to be another news conference, but the news conference needs to take place the day after the election. Nikki needs to make sure that she keeps going after Meg Whitman if that's really what this is all about and the $6,200. People should not forget about Nikki. And that's why I think that Gloria Allred has used her as a political pawn and to make sure that Gloria Allred gets some more press, that she hasn't met a camera she doesn't like. And this is all for Jerry Brown's campaign trying to smear Meg Whitman. So the news conference needs to happen after the election and to keep pushing this important issue forward and to the forefront. And Gloria Allred has jeopardized her client with deportation and taking away this woman from her 3 kids.
Charlotte? All right, Charlotte, 15 seconds. Do you think Jerry Brown's involved in this?
No, I definitely don't. But I do think it's possible that there are Democrats that did know about this in advance and that are in cahoots with Gloria Allred.
It's way too coincidental.
It is awfully coincidental any way you look at it. Let's move on. Did you know there are 5,100 registered sex offenders living in the city of Los Angeles? About 20% of those on parole or probation for felony crimes are prohibited by state law from living near a school or park where children gather. Of the 5,100, about 260 are homeless on the streets today. Some of the sex offender population has come to L.A. from other places because they have passed additional laws making it possible for some to find places to live. Megan, does Los Angeles need tougher laws when it comes to sex offenders?
Well, if they pass tougher laws, then where do these people go? Do they go to the neighboring city, and then the neighboring city has this problem as well, and then they pass tougher laws? What really I think
But that's
needs
why
to be
they came
done,
here. That's exactly why they came here, for that very reason.
Well, exactly. So where are they going to go next? It really doesn't address the problem and the categorization of these. And what I did find was in Texas, out of the state capital, out of Austin, in 2007, they passed a new law which actually categorize sex offenders in a different way. Instead of a 18-year-old boy having sex with a 15-year-old girl and having the same penalty and categorization as a 35-year-old woman abusing a 5-year-old child, they categorize these sex offenders differently, which allowed them perhaps a better opportunity to find housing or to find jobs. And that perhaps is what LA needs to do, is to maybe enforce the laws in a different way, change the laws in a different way so they can provide different categories for these sex offenders and make sure that the most egregious sex offenders have worse categorization than, say, someone like an 18-year-old boy having sex with an underage girl.
Charlotte?
And then I think you can get down to recidivism rates in a better method.
All right, Charlotte, 45 seconds. What do you think?
Well, I agree with changing the categorization, and I come down on the side of practicality. I actually do agree with you, Megan, that this is a real problem because there's some neighborhoods where 90% of the apartments and houses are too close to a school or a park, and therefore the sex offenders can't live there. So where are they supposed to live? I think that society needs to stop being so emotional about the issue and sit down and really analyze it and say, do we want a few people in this neighborhood, or do we want to put a few people in each neighborhood, or do we want to put them all together in one area?
Charlotte, it is an emotional issue. It is an emotional issue.
I know it is, but you got to remember, you don't have a database for ex-murderers, so you may have 20 of them living on your street. You don't even know. So it's kind of like they're singled out, and they're not given that opportunity to find a place to live. So they end up on the street homeless, and then there's a better chance that they're going to cause more crimes in the future.
Well, okay. I figure if we can track Lindsay Lohan's cocaine habit, we can track sex offenders.
Well put. Who doesn't want a free lunch in life? Well, what if you could pay for lunch with your fingerprint? Would you surrender your fingerprint for the chance to eat? That's the plan in the LAUSD. Instead of paying for lunch with a charge card or cash, the new system involves taking the print of one finger per student and linking that print to a numeric code that stays with the student throughout their academic career. It's simply more efficient. Opponents say turning over your fingerprint could violate student privacy and risk the misuse of biometric information. School officials say there are checks and balances in place to prevent that. Fingerprints for lunch. Are you in, Charlotte?
I'm out. I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's a scary idea. Not only is there actually a small trace of radiation that you're going to get from in the finger, but I think it could easily fall into the hands of law enforcement. I can see a scenario where there's a murder in a school, there's a fingerprint left on a weapon. They say, oh, we need to check the cafeteria database. They find the criminal. Everybody goes, oh, wow, that was successful. And then you've got a slippery slope. And then next time it's a theft. And then you're checking that database. And way down the road, what do you have? You have a whole bunch of poor public school students with their fingerprints in a huge database, and a whole bunch of wealthy private school students with no fingers in a database. And so you have surveillance of the poor. You have a greater divide between the rich and the poor. I see great problems with it. And I also see that we're teaching our kids too much that their privacy doesn't matter. And I know with the internet, things have gone crazy, but eventually there's going to be a day of reckoning, and they're going to start people are going to want to reel back that information, and they're not going to be able to. It's going to be too late.
Yeah, okay, but Megan, for those who like the idea, they say this just speeds up the process, and it's simple, and really nobody gets hurt. What do you think?
Well, like one child put it, it might speed up the process, but it doesn't change the taste of the food. I have a real problem with LAUSD actually preaching efficiency and fiscal responsibility when they just supported a $530 million high school, and they're furloughing teachers, and they produce a 49% graduation rate. I don't think they really are the shining example of fiscal responsibility or efficiency. I don't agree with this. Criminals should be fingerprinted, not students.
All right. I think that pretty much sums up both of your feelings on that. Here we go to the last one. This is something we don't talk about. Not often. Not on TV. It's your sex life. How is it? Are you fulfilled? Are you satisfied? Why must we talk about this? Former Surgeon General Jocelyn Elder says, our society is sexually dysfunctional, and we must address sex as a positive source of pleasure and health. So, Some interesting stats in the latest survey from the Journal of Sexual Medicine. The majority of 14 and 15-year-olds are not having sex. That number is 1 in 10. The survey also indicated 79% of older teenage boys use condoms. If teenagers are going to have sex, that's good news. Then there was this. 64% of women reported they achieve an orgasm, while 85% of men thought their partner had achieved an orgasm. That would indicate there's some faking going on here. How often do you think that happens, Megan?
Why do I get this fun question? I had to start off with, well, one of my favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally, and Meg Ryan, proved that point about faking an orgasm pretty clearly and pretty effectively. Jocelyn Elders, she was fired by the Clinton administration as Surgeon General, and I don't really know where she comes up with this society is sexually dysfunctional. I'm not really sure what she bases that on. It seems like we're talking about sex more and more. We're talking about different types of sex more and more, whether it be, between a man and a woman, group sex, what have you. We also see more commercials on TV about sexual dysfunction. If I see another Viagra commercial or the commercial with 2 people in the bathtub, it's always on TV. So I don't really know where she bases this. But the fact that women fake it, absolutely. We got to keep you guys at least, somewhat, in the dark, while in the dark.
So you're suggesting that the survey stats are accurate. Would that be fair?
I would say that they're probably accurate, but I don't know about the whole sexual dysfunction that Jocelyn Elders claims.
All right, Charlotte, what do you think?
I would say that the 85-64% is probably pretty accurate.
Do you agree with Megan on that?
Well, I don't think faking it is keeping guys in the dark. I think it's actually considered sort of a kindness. It's kind of like when a man says to a woman, oh, you look really thin in that outfit. It's the same kind of a thing. But there's some interesting statistics, not only in this study, but in other studies I found. The average person's first sexual encounter is at age 17. And by age 23, 90% of people have already had sex. But I would like to give some advice to parents out there because I have a different point of view on your child, for example, your daughter going out with an older guy, which a lot of parents are against.
You have 14 seconds, Charlotte. Go ahead.
I think it's a lot safer because older men are not as aggressive sexually. They're tired. So let your daughters go out with a guy who's 20 years older. It's not a big deal. It's actually better than if they go out with an 18-year-old guy.
Let them go out with let them go out with older guys. They're tired. They need a nap. Good logic, Charlotte. I like that. Well done.
A guy should know the difference between a fake orgasm and a real orgasm. That's all I can say.
All right. Charlotte and Megan, I know neither one of you were faking tonight. You were on your game. Thank you both very much.
Thanks.